Hi, good morning. Thank you for joining me here in my shop for another round with this receiver. I've got to make some decisions here about how I'm going to proceed from this point. So I'm going to do a little recap, kind of for my own sake, to get my head straight on what the smart thing to do next is. Or at least what the dumb thing to not do would be. So this receiver is working reasonably well, except it's insensitive on FM. It seems like it would need a very strong FM station to come through. It doesn't pick anything up when you try to pick up regular FM on a regular antenna. It doesn't pick up anything. So it's very weak. Why is it weak? I don't really know. One big category is alignment, bad alignment. We'll talk about that in a second. And the other one is some component problem on the receiver board. So if I had to pick one of those two right now, it would be a component problem on the receiver board. A radio like this, the chance of the alignment being way out is very low. A little bit maybe, but way out is really quite low. I did do a test. It falsely indicated to me that the FM IF strip was out quite a bit. Subsequent testing showed not really, and then I was able to tune it quite sharply up. But I don't think that made much influence in the operation of the radio. It wasn't that far out. Now there's more alignment stuff that could be checked and messed around with. Inside the FM tuner box here, you can see the holes. You put your tool through and turn the things. I am not really excited about doing that. I'm quite worried about it. My experience level in fooling with those things is low in this kind of receiver. And there's always a chance that I'm just going to get it out of alignment, even though I have all the instructions and all the equipment and enough here to confuse me upside down. There's a good chance that in my attempts to improve the alignment, I would actually kind of ruin it. Now there is one alignment thing we have to work on in here again, which is up through this hole, and that's the, I don't know what to call it, I'll call it the output transformer that connects the tuner here to the IF strip here. That little transformer has a slug in it, and tuning that properly, and if I remember right, one of the slugs was stuck in that transformer. That's probably the most likely alignment type thing that's causing a problem here. So if I can get if I get the slug moving, maybe we'll discover that that is the reason why the output is low. I wouldn't bet on it though. If I had to bet, I would bet there's a component problem, and I might even bet there's a couple of them in here. The radio has mostly silicon transistors in it. They're a little hard to see, but you can see two germanium ones here. Germanium transistors at this age probably could be defective and could be the cause. Could easily be the cause of the low output. So, okay, that's great for me. Now I've gone through the possibilities here. Saying it's a component on that board is saying there's many hours of tracing and troubleshooting and understanding the circuit and all that kind of stuff ahead. I don't want to go there right away because that's a long journey that might end up with me realizing what I've been doing isn't solving the problem. The problem is somewhere else, such as alignment. The alignment thing is easy, right? It's an easy thing to mess around with. It's an easy thing to mess up too. This is why I'm so hesitant. Okay, so I think I got it straight. We'll try this transformer again. See if I can get both slugs moving in it. See if that doesn't affect the FM output significantly. And then from there, I don't know. I don't know. Let's do one step at a time, because maybe there's no more steps after that. Maybe that's the actual problem. So if you notice, there's no money on the bench here. I'm not betting on this one at all. Okay, so that's what we'll try. I'm just going to go drink more coffee here before we do it. How about a quick COVID update here in Canada? And I'm not qualified to do this, so ignore everything I say. So right now we're on the upswing in the fourth wave. Things are going up across the country. People are quite concerned about it. We don't want to do a lockdown. Who does? People in Canada wear face masks. Most provinces wear face masks. Everywhere I go, out in public, everyone's wearing face masks. Vaccine uptake has been fantastic here. These numbers might not be quite right. 85% have had at least one shot. 75% of adults, people over 12, 75% have had 2 shots. The problem here in Canada, aside from the disease, is human behavior is going out of control here in Canada. Not to a huge degree, but enough that it's very upsetting. So around where I live, there's nothing happening, but in other larger centers, there are demonstrations going on, anti-vax demonstrations, people claiming COVID doesn't exist. All that total crapping nonsense that is pouring up here from guess where. I won't even say it. You know where it's coming from. And it's serious in some locations. So in British Columbia, I understand the numbers of protesters is significant. And they are blocking the entrances to hospitals. They are blocking ambulances from entering the hospital. Stuff like that is happening. Healthcare workers across Canada are worn out like they are all around the world. And a lot of them have just had it because they're willing to fight the fight to help Canadians. I mean, that's good for your soul if you're involved in that kind of helpful thing. But what they see, they don't see people like me who appreciate it because I'm at home. What they see are those effing crackpots marching around with signs demonstrating their emotional needs and their lack of education. And the problem is these people are pushy. So, if this were to start up in my city, and I certainly don't think it will, but if it were, I think I would take direct action against it. Don't know exactly what I would do, nothing violent, nothing like that. But I wouldn't sit at home and listen about it. If it's happening just across my little city here, I would go there, for sure. Somehow, I think, and people like me were not inclined to do this, we're not inclined to go out and push back, but I think that's what it's going to come down to. Crowds of people who can think straight, pushing crackpots out of the way. I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think that's what it's going to come down to in the United States, too. I hope it doesn't get worse here. As I say, in my own area, it's not a concern. The city I live in only has 30,000 people, so, how many protesters can they muster? My wife and I were chatting about this yesterday, and I said to her, if 1% of the Canadian population demanded the other 99% do something crazy, would the 99% have to listen to the 1%? Well, of course not. We wouldn't listen to 1% out of 99. That's crazy. That's 370,000 people is 1%. What that really means is if there were 370,000 people marching down a road somewhere protesting something, the 370,000 would still be in the category of a minute number to be ignored. One of the problems that I think we're all facing is a couple hundred people come out and make a lot of noise, and the media comes because they got filmed to put on TV and make their shows exciting. And they do us a horrible disservice when they show us 0.001% of the population and put that in front of us. We're human beings, we're very fallible, but people put in front of us we tend to look at and think about. And it's up to journalists to be careful about this stuff. But they're caught up in the numbers game and all that stuff. So we all know this. We all know how it works. Oh boy. Well, I think probably I'm talking about this stuff because I'm afraid to do something with this radio. Okay, let's get over the fear here. I have the alignment instructions. Looks like I gotta figure out what is this right here. I think that's the first thing to figure out. What is that called? That is called IF transformer. That's what it's called. Where does it say to do the IF transformer? Is it TR205? Of course, here they have a name. Here they have numbers. Okay, I'm going to just search around here and figure out what that is actually called before I twist it. Oh boy, you really got to pay attention to grammar here. So you may not be able to read this part here. This is the first part of the FM alignment, the very first step. It says, in tuner LPLS on FM AM board. Okay, no. There's a comma sitting out here. Read it again, Jim. In tuner LP and LS on FM MX board, primaries and secondaries of TR so-and-so. But you could read this easily and just mix this all up. I mean, it's not enough that it's a complicated thing. The writing is complicated. So guess what? LP and LS is that little transformer. L primary and L secondary. Now, one slug is the primary, one slug is the secondary. Does it really matter? All it says is for optimum amplitude and symmetry of IF bandpass curve. Cores to be adjusted away from each other. Yeah. So what if there's a little transformer here? You know, without even the set on, let me just check that slug, which I'm pretty sure is stuck. I think there's two slugs. Maybe there's only one slug in here. No. It says LP and LS because there's two instructions. So I'm in one slug. Okay, it moves. Put it back. Now go down. Okay, I'm in between. Go in the lower slug. Okay, I'm in. This is the one that won't turn. I don't want to ruin my tool. So I'm using a non-metallic, a thin plastic tool. It hasn't got the power in it. And besides, if I were to rotate this thing once or twice and really load this up as a spring and then it snapped loose, that slug would spin right around twice. I wouldn't know where it was, where it come from. So I can't even just kind of break it free without running the risk of it jumping quite a ways. Do I have another? I have another. It's even weaker. I don't think this is going to work at all. Well, maybe will it go through? Maybe it won't go through. Yeah, it's too big. Way too big. Okay, that's a problem. Tuning only one side is not going to be convincing that the other side is out of whack. Is not out of whack. Like spray some fluids in there to loosen it up. No, I'm not inclined to do that. I'll have to get some kind of grip on it. Now the other end definitely won't. Now this can't possibly go through. It can go in one, but it has a collar here. It won't go through. Now I faced this early on, so I've known this problem has been sitting here. What could possibly go in there and engage with the slug? Now, sticking in metal tools, you run the risk of cracking the even bigger. Run the risk of cracking the slug. If you crack the slug, it's almost game over at that point. Hey, what about these? I got a whole set of these. This may not even be the smallest one here. Okay, this one's a little big. Really, can you put a well, the problem with this is all I want to do is break free the lower slug. I was going to say the problem with it is that this will turn both slugs at the same time if you can get one to fit. I'm sure this is way too big, and this is ridiculously big. I'm going to go see if I have piles of Allen keys. Literally. I need to get my pile of Allen keys here. Okay, well, this isn't my pile of Allen keys, but it's got some. This one looks about right off the bat here. Now, very similar. Okay, let's see if we get through the first slug. Oh, it's going down. Okay, now we're gonna get to the top of the second slug. It won't slide in because they're probably not, hexagonally lined up. So I have to rotate the top one a little bit until it sinks into the bottom one. And it's not going. It's definitely turning the top slug around. There it goes. Okay, now The resistance I'm going to feel is the stick of the bottom slug. There it goes. Very tight. I'm going to turn it back and forth a little bit. Ooh, that's too tight for the plastic tool. Oh boy. Not if the slugs are in contact with each other. I'm rotating them the same way so that they wouldn't crash. You can make these slugs crash in some of these coils, and that's bad. Okay, let me sink through the other tool now and see what it does. Okay, first slug. Okay, clear zone into the second slug. Oh boy. Some pretty sad crunchy sounds in there too. Yeah, that just, doesn't that sound terrible? Let me go right out the bottom. Okay, I'm out the bottom now. Come back up. Okay, I'm in the bottom slug. Ugh, and then I got in the upper one. The upper one just turns smooth and quiet. Something maybe has happened to the lower slug. Did I get down there? I don't think yeah, we should have the radio operating at this point, but the slug travel on the lower slug is so little, I can't imagine it's going to make much difference. But we should have it operating and see what I'm doing here. I have another little test I thought up. Just dreamed up a little test here, technique for checking alignment. Don't know if it's valid or not, but we'll give that a try too. So I've got my sweep generator on. We're going to be using that in a moment. But what I looked and discovered was you can approach the slug here from the other side. There's actually an opportunity for that. A little tiny hole up here. I'm going to start with the metal one. No, I'm not. I'm going to start with my plastic one here. Okay, I'm going in. I think it can go in. Another indication of a broken slug. I can't get this to go in. Frankly, I had this in there a moment ago, and then I thought, oh, let's put this on camera. Oh boy. What has happened here? Okay, let's come down from the top. I mean, this could be the problem with this receiver, because I'm in the top slug and it turns fine. Okay, going through it. Okay, free into the bottom. I'm in the bottom now. Go right through it. Ooh. It feels stuck. Oh, you can hear it jumping a bit. Oh boy. That's the upper slug turning, isn't it? Yeah. Upper slug turns just fine. Oh, let's try from the bottom again. What could be happening here? See, the thing is, I'm pretty sure I got this in here before. Oh my gosh. Okay, quite a bit of time went by because I jammed the hard drive on my video computer here, and suddenly everything ground to a halt. But I've got that sorted out now. Space on my hard drive again. Ready to go. Okay, so the idea here is I'm going to get my sweeper with a center frequency about the center of the FM band, maybe around 100, something like that. I'm going to set the sweep to sweep the entire FM band, because this guy can do it. And then I'm going to tune the FM receiver through the FM band, and it should sound the same. Funny, buzzy sound, whatever it is, it should sound the same all the way through, whatever it is it sounds like. If it changes as I'm tuning, that could be a hint that there's alignment issues with this radio. Is it a valid test? I don't know. Let's give it a try. So I've got this guy going. Let's get the radio going here. Hey, it's another beautiful day outside today. There we go. It's running at 119 volts. That's the wrong dial. I'll put this towards the center and up the volume here. Okay, now the output from this is hanging down here. Let's turn off this marker amp. We don't want that happening. I'm going to put this just near the antenna here. I think that's probably going to be enough. Put this up on 1. Open up the sweep width a little bit. Turn this up full blast. See, it's on band D. There we are. So to some degree, exactly the opposite should be true too. I should be able to swing this through the range of the radio, and for the most part, in the center part, it should sound the same the whole time. I'm going to expand the sweep way out there. Yeah, that's not it's not at all what I expected. Let's cut this back a little bit. Remember, it's just loosely coupled here. Maybe that's a fake one there. Let's go roughly the middle here. Sweep width. Well, let's see what happens. Oh man, I was watching videos on psychoacoustic effects. Things our brains do with the sound it hears. And you know, I've always been concerned about the effect of a room. When you play your stereo, it all depends upon the room, it depends upon where you are in the room, it depends upon where the speakers are in the room. It's all about the room. The thing is, our hearing is so advanced, our brains are so capable, that as we move around the room and the sound is actually changing fairly dramatically in our ears, it doesn't trouble us at all, because our brains are recalculating all the time where we are and what it should sound like, and we're really good at hearing stuff like that. So and why did I bring this up? Because of the videos I was watching showed all kinds of situations, a lot of them, where our brain will insert sounds that aren't there and other things. I was really quite stunned by the demonstration. So now, not only is it the room effect, I shouldn't use that term, the effect of the room the sound is in, and how that's a very important factor that everybody seems to ignore it, but it's almost the primary factor for listening to sound inside a room. And now there's this whole thing about our brains themselves are messing around with the sound, and it even showed some musical pieces, some classic musical pieces that incorporate some of these psychoacoustic effects. I was really quite floored for it, and the way they did it was there was a piece of music with two separate runs of notes, and if you like for instance, maybe two instruments playing, I'm not sure. I mean, this was just a demonstration in this video. The two separate runs of notes, and they play one set in one ear and one in the other. I had my headphones on. You have to wear headphones for a lot of these demonstrations. So when played together, it sounds like something fairly musical. Not great, but it's fairly musical. When they played one ear or the other ear, it's just a pile of nonsense. The thing is, your brain cannot hear the nonsense when both are going. When both are going, your brain assembles it into fairly okay sounding musical stuff. I was really impressed. So there you go. What am I doing trying to align these things? Can't trust my ears anymore. Fantastic stuff though. Yeah. Everything is interesting, isn't it? So let's see what we got going here. I'm going to turn this guy up a little bit. Okay. It's tuned in the middle here. Let's just tune it. Okay, so we went off the end of the sweep. So I'm going to readjust this downwards. Am I not going downwards? Yeah, I think I got this the wrong way. No, maybe not. Okay, sweep full. Sweep width is, I think, 40 megacycles, so it's not going to go right across, actually, come to think of it now. Because how many megacycles are in the AM band? It's 88 to 108. That sounds like 20. That's all? Oh, that can't be right. What? Let me look at some numbers here. 108, 98, 88, 20 megahertz. Well, this thing should be sweeping right past, right across. Okay, let me do this and cut the sweep rate down. This is a smarter way of doing this. I just suddenly got smarter. Put this in the middle, tune this. That sets the sweep in the middle of the band. Expand the sweep out. Now I should be able to tune across. Well, I ran out of sweep there. Something's wrong with my thinking here. Well, maybe the sweep isn't nearly as wide as it's supposed to be. Okay, so in the range of the sweep. Yeah, wow, it doesn't sound consistent at all. So, is that because of an alignment thing? Man, who knows? Certainly didn't come out the way I expected, though. You'd expect it to go wild on the ends of the sweep, where things are a little out of control. But in the middle here, in the middle, it's actually pretty consistent. Get away from the edges. And remember too, with a nice sharp looking pointer, but in fact you're sliding a fairly wide response. Is that right? Is that right what you just said? Yeah, I think it is. Okay, so that didn't quite work out. Somehow I thought I'd be able to sweep the whole thing. I still think I'm able to, but that's an interesting question about the sweep on here. Why don't we solve that? Just going to bring my SDR to the picture here. Oh, easier said. Easier done. Easily done. Here it is in the picture already. Let me put it on the screen here if I can. Okay, with a quick little blip, blip, blip. There we are. So now the thing is, this is only 1 megahertz wide. The screen here we're looking at. So I will move it. You can watch these numbers up here to keep track, and watch this red line. The red line is this frequency. So I'm going to slide the thing behind it here. I'm looking for the edge of the sweep. I want right past it. It's not very visible on this side. Where are you? Sweep level up. Okay, it's a stronger sweep signal. You know, it's just. Let me move the SDR antenna into the zone here. The jumping up and down is the SDR's own attempt at settling down shrinking the sweep. Let's find the sweep. Here. Okay, here's one edge. Finally, wow. This is one edge of the sweep here. 101. 101.2. And the other edge There it is. 93.2. So 101.2. So 101 to 93. 93 to 101. Well, it's only 7 or 8 megahertz. That's nowhere near the capacity. Did I get to turn the sweep down? No. Now I'm turning it down. Turn it back up. Oh, it doesn't sweep nearly as far as it's supposed to. I'm sure it's supposed to be able to sweep 40 megahertz. This is the whole deal with this guy, and I've never really checked this out. Now it does say the sweep is related to the band you're on. For instance, you can't have the center at 20 megahertz and do a 40 megahertz sweep. There's a problem with that. So the sweep range shrinks with the scale range, and you're better off at the higher end of the band to get the full sweep. Now where am I? I'm at the low end. That must be the problem. I'm at the low end of the FM band, of the band D. Well, let's just go up to the top. Okay, forget the radio for a minute. We're going to check my sweep generator here. I'm going to dial it in at what I think is 200 megahertz. I think there's a 200 megahertz signal on here, so let's go looking for it. Should be right around here. Oh, there's the jumping. Okay, sweep down to nothing. See the sweep edge come by? There it is. I happened to just pick it dead on. So it thinks it's centered on 200, but in fact it's centered out around 203. Boy, you can't complain about that too much. Now, how much sweep can we get? If it's, I'm gonna center this on 200 to make the arithmetic easier for me. 200. 200 is where the red line is. Now I'm going to tune the oscillator until we see it come across. There it is. Whoop, come back. Bingo! Right on the money. On the dial, it says one. You know, that's a weird thing to read there. What have they done here? You know what they've done? They've right at the spot I'm looking at. I'll show you this. I'll show you in a second. Quickly flip back to the camera. Try anyway. Let's try again. Probably won't edit those transitions out. I normally edit those transitions out of my videos. That's the editing I do. It's just to cut those 2 or 3 second transmissions. If you look here, you probably can't see it. Maybe you can. 9, 8, 7. Okay, 7, 8, 9, 01. What? 01. How does that get in there? At this point, they flipped the numbers over. So we got to read it from the other way. So the bottom is here, but as soon as you get around here, the bottom is the other way. Okay, small things. You know, small challenges. Yeah, it makes my day. Okay, so that's right around 200 anyway. Let's go back to this SDR. I'm losing track of what I'm doing here. Okay, once again, let me just adjust this back to where we get it back into the zone here. We're going to find out how big is the sweep. That's what we're trying to do. So the center is at 200. I will extend the sweep out now. That was my own personal sound effect, by the way. So it should be down around 180 this way. Let's just jump down to 190. Oh, it's not bumping here. I'm going to start going back up. Find the edge here. Come on, mouse. There's the edge. 193. Okay, that's one edge. 193. The other edge. Oop, passed it already. Remember, 193. And the other edge is there. Oops, went too far. 193. 206. Let's call it 203. 93. 203. It's 20 again. It's 20. 93 to 203 is 20. Okay, there's an element of disappointment with that. That might indicate that something I did to the primary side of the ink reductor has restricted its range. That's possible. Well, that's disappointing because I was all excited. I mean, one of the big things about this sweep generator is the gigantic sweep. I was going to use it to sweep right across the FM band. But no, no, no. Okay, so everything is going sour here, more or less, but you know, I'm learning about this guy. Kind of learning about this one. Okay, so we're going to try to adjust the transformer in here, even though one slug is stuck and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to see what kind of effect we can get out of it as soon as I can figure out how to do that in some decent way. Okay, so what I've done now is I switched to a different signal generator. This guy's off. He's out of the picture. It's this one back here that you have some trouble seeing. This is a purpose-built FM signal simulator, and it'll produce lots of interesting and very important signals that are used for the alignment of a radio like this. Its only real shortfall is it's stuck on 100 megahertz. You can't get it off 100 megahertz. This guy, of course, you can vary all over the place, which is why he's interesting to me. So we're using this one. Everything has to be done at 100 megahertz. That's okay. If I'm going to tune that transformer, I'm sure I can do it at 100 megahertz. So let's get the radio going here. I'll turn it up. Okay, now right now we're sending a mono signal. You should hear it from both speakers. Let's just do the balance thing here. Which one's the balance? It would be this one. Oh, that's strange. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in this speaker now, then it's over that speaker. What's strange is the psychoacoustic and the combination room effects I'm having. Definitely. Okay, both channels are producing sound from an FM, simulated FM station. The output is connected right here. The antenna's gone. The output from the signal generator is hooked right up. This is a terminated output, properly terminated output. And what's doing that? So I just clipped it onto the screw heads here, and the screws are a little loose. So I'm just going to tighten them up a little bit. That should stop the okay, good. Now we're just listening to it. Should be a nice pure tone at 400 hertz. Sounds to me like it's got a lot of harmonics in it. I'll tune the radio. Maybe it's not tuned quite right. Ooh. Okay. Okay, let's go right in the middle there. Right there. Ooh, back. So to my ear that sounds pure. I'll turn this down to my psychoacoustically manipulated hearing. So now we're going to try and turn that transformer. We shouldn't really do this by ear. We really need to see the output. Now the output would be visible on the scope here. Why don't we do that? It's easy. It's all hooked up and ready to go. Even have a camera looking at it. Just tip up a little bit here. 10:30 in the morning. My gosh. Okay, so we'll do the next one this way. We'll put more in the center. Beautiful looking sine wave. Let me see if I can, by any chance, trigger on it. Yeah, I got my scope to trigger. Must be just high enough level to help the trigger operate. That looks just beautiful to me. I have a closer up look at it here for you. Look at that. Wow. That's 400. I'm going to pop it up to 1,000 here. Beautiful. It's just beautiful. Look at that thing. I want to raise the signal level at the scope. I can do that's this. That's good. And stick it. It's on DC, so it's going to float around with a little bit of DC. Look at that. Wow, when it works good. How come I won't do that with a regular radio station? I have an output, I have an RF output level control on that generator. I'm going to fiddle with it. Is it up or is it down? That's down. And that's way up. So you can see the DC voltage there is coming out of the detector. It's coming out of the little detector circuit. Now we have to gamble here that any changes in tone, like when I'm doing that, is that from the receiver or is that the signal generator as I vary its output? So, good question. What do you want to do with that? Now we're going to work on that. Work on that transformer. Now I fooled with this early on. Now we're going to try to actually set it correctly. Okay, so I'm going in the top slug. Primary, secondary, don't know offhand just yet. So I see huge differences there. We should go for the maximum DC, which will occur at the time when the AC signal is the highest, because the DC is a rectified piece of that. Don't get jumpy now, mister. Now, it wasn't a great change. What happens if I try to work that little slug in the bottom? Well, first we're going to try with a plastic tool, because I'm a little anxious about sticking the metal one in there, especially back here from reverse. There's lots of wires right around it. Try and get in the slug. Oh, I gotta go in the slug again. We're back to the... Oh, that's right. I never really resolved the what has happened to the slug question. Okay, trying from the top here. Okay, we're in the first slug. We're through. We're in the second slug. Well, it's moving. Oh, look at that. Hey, it's just come free. It's just turning. But the signal's going way down. Now, is that because look at the amount of DC I'm getting out of it now. Holy schmoly. That's an improvement. Let's just keep going here. Okay, so the DC is getting higher, the AC appears to be getting smaller. And we seem to be hitting the slug spot there. Now what it says is, in the instructions, what exactly it says about this? We have a number of things they're asking you to tune. The first one is the very thing I'm doing. It's the first thing. For optimum amplitude and symmetry of IF bandpass curve, cores to be adjusted away from each other. Which cores? The cores in the IF? The cores in the LP LS I'm doing right now? What do they mean? Adjusted away from each other. Well, let's see. We've got more DC at the test point. That has to mean more signal. Why this is getting smaller is hard for me to explain. But we should top this guy up as much as we can, and then try receiving stuff. Okay, so this is the bottom slug. You can go way higher yet. And we can come down here. The AC signal doesn't seem to change much. Okay, that's pretty high. Let's go to the top slug now and see if it has to catch up with the other one. Bigger AC. Let's take it right up here. It really doesn't say clearly what you're supposed to be doing here. Optimum amplitude and symmetry of IF passband. We're not looking at the passband right now. So just like this sweeper uses 60 Hertz to generate the sweep, so does that guy. It's the same. I'm going to flip it on the sweep here. I'm not sure what to expect. Let's see what happens. Okay, turn the volume up a bit. Wait a minute, that's not the sweep. That's the wrong control. Here's the sweep. Ooh, hot diggity dog. Look at that thing. Faster? Slower? Oh my gosh, that really looks like a super duper, I don't know what. Well, that could be the passband. That could be the passband shape. I'm a little curious about why it's rising up over here and rising up over there again. Now this is this sweeper has a blanking feature in it. So as the scope sweep goes across, on the way back, the signal is eliminated, so it just comes back straight across the bottom. So with this sweeper, you get a line, you get a straight line back like this. With this one it sweeps out and comes right back. So in some cases, on the way back, it will paint a different line, a slightly different line. And what happens is you don't know which one's the correct one. You can't tell looking at it. In this case, there was just one continuous line there. There's no doubling at all. It's really quite nice looking. In fact, have this nice look at it. So a couple things. I'm going to tune the radio a little bit. Go back. Wow. What do you make of all that? So my scope triggering is moving a little bit on it. Not much though. Okay, let's take it off the sweep now. What we'll do is we'll put the tone in again. Let's put the 1000 in. It's just a little easier to hear. Scope's not triggering on it. I'm going to tune the radio so it sounds the best. Let's turn it up a little more. Tuning the radio. Just by ear. Whew. There. You get the shape there, way up, and then kind of like that. Okay, tune it in wherever it's loudest, or sounds best. Whoa, it's a tough one, isn't it? I did turn this down, didn't I? Okay, that's the minimum FM signal coming to the antenna. Huh. I'm going to tune it right on this shrill peak. Oh boy, I'm sure that's not correct, but it's an interesting spot. The rest of it I can't really tell where the sweet spot is. There's a bunch of sort of little bit sweet and sour spots. Okay, so now we'll put the sweep back on and see what we got out of here. What do we get? We get that. We get that. Let's fiddle with that transformer. Just shooting in the dark here. trying to spread light into the dark. This is the upper slug. I'll go in for the lower one. Oh my gosh. You know, if that really is the IF frequency response, it would also include the whole front end response. That's not so bad. Of course, we don't know how wide it is. We don't know really too much about it, but it looks nice. I like that. I mean, you know, everything else looks kind of weird. Okay, upper slug again. Interesting stuff. It's also a, I'm on the sweep right now. We can set the deviate. Oh, look at this. The deviation. Ah. So the FM signal can, what they call here sweep width, or over here it's called deviation, and how much the signal is deviating from the 100 megahertz. The more and more deviation, increasing the deviation. Hope I got this right. Deviation. Fortunately, well, what the heck is right? Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, let's listen to this radio again and just see if by some magic somehow it has started working. So get the generators out. Generators out. Boy, you know, if it appears that I have no clue what I'm doing, that's close to the truth at this point. I have a clue. I need a lot more than a clue to do this right. Now, I have done FM radio successfully before, but I think I've mentioned that usually the very last step is winging it and listening to the result. And I had a mentor tell me that that's what you got to do at the end of all these FM alignments. The last step is very carefully make more adjustments and listen to it. Okay, so we're on the antenna. Still have the oscilloscope connected, shouldn't matter. Will this guy pick up my local rock station? Well, that's full blast. I don't hear any hiss. I mean, it should be hissing, shouldn't it? Plenty loud. That's an indication in itself, isn't it? It's just generally quiet, I think, is really what it says. Okay, let's go see what we can find. Anybody. Somebody. Not a soul. Is this really up full? Is it really on FM? Is it really on the antenna? It's a really lousy antenna. Oh! There's something there. I'm not sure what it is. Can we increase it? I hear it. I'm holding the antenna. Let's get the antenna out of here. Bring it down here. My super duper antenna. It's not so super. This contraption does nothing. It's not hooked up to anything. All this is two long rabbit ears. I'm extending them here. Connected to the two 300 ohm wires. There's nothing going on inside this box. The switch doesn't do anything. She's a beauty. Well, that's lots of antenna. There's no reason why this radio shouldn't be picking up lots of FM signals here. Stronger stations are up this way, though. Well, I think that's better than it was, isn't it? Look at that. So I'm going to use this station to try to increase the strength of the radio, but I cannot put it on video. I will get a copyright hit if there's even a few seconds of music that comes across clear enough. So let me put this antenna down here before I knock everything down in my shop. Big long. There we go. That's not bad. So as I say, I cannot... What happened to it? I moved the antenna. For crying out loud, I changed its angle. Okay, let's put it back where it was. Ooh, some directionality here. Okay, so I may even get a copyright hit from the stuff that's coming out of the radio already. That's why I'm talking all over it, so that the YouTube computer can't sort it out. Okay, so I'm going to fiddle with this tuned to that station off camera for a few minutes because I can't afford the copyright hit. It's just a hassle. I have to chop it out anyway. Okay, so what's happened here is I have increased the sensitivity of the radio hugely doing this. So now I switched to another FM station I can pick up with talk on it, so we can listen to that. I can record this. No copyright hit from non-music. I'm in the lower slug, and I think it's about to make a huge difference. Wow.
And I think as long as someone is invited, it's permitted to happen. You know, that means
upper slug?
I'm someone who has a free speech club, so would I like to host, you know, for example, a
upper slug?
or a flat earther? No, but if someone else were to invite someone who is, you know, obviously in these cases,
lower slug?
the main purpose.
So I've moved the lower slug off. I'm going to try and get back with the upper slug. This is not the way to align a radio, by the way. This is definitely not the way to do it. Volume is full now. The slug is loosened up. The lower slug, I don't think it's broken or anything at all. Seems to be just working nicely now. I wonder if they had collided. So I'm hunting now. I'm moving one slug off and then moving the other one to see if I can get back. I think doing the alignment here absolutely properly is what's going to save this.
I think what's better is that, you know, sometimes when the protesters protest the event, they give them more attention, more airtime. When, you know, if you really don't like something, just leave it alone, and you know, maybe no one will show up, and it'll be this event that went back kind of unnoticed, you know?
You know, I've been hearing recently that it seems almost as if for anything, whether it's church, business, politics,
Slightly different tuning position. Again, this is no way to align an FM radio. This is just me trying to determine if this is the area that's really way out. Well, it certainly is way out because I'm the one who knocked it way out. This slug is traveling a huge distance away from where it was. It's like it was at the end of its run. Let's put it back kind of in the middle, best I can guess. I'm guessing that's the middle. Can we find it? This guy? No, that didn't work well, did it? So I think fooling around with one transformer like this, you can't go too far astray. In other words, you can recover, even though there's two slugs. I think if you start doing 2 or 3 of these simultaneously, especially just winging it like this, it's suicide. That would be suicide. Okay, the lower slugs. Bring it back. Okay, so it seemed to get a hard stop there. Now I'm going to move the upper slug. That's interesting. Can't get, oh yeah. I move the upper slug, what I believe is up, and then see if I can move the lower slug more. So I'm trying to see if they're in collision. That's what I'm trying to do. Well, if they're in collision, I wouldn't be able to do this. By now I've really wandered away from the Goldilocks area here. There we go. Got rid of that sound. This thing was making noise. Now I got nice and quiet. So I'm going to stop at this point. I'm not trying to perfect the alignment. I'm still trying to explore what's going on here. We got a little more volume out of it at the one point there. I would think you really need to have this. You need to follow these instructions, and the first thing is to get this correct, and then do the IF transformers. Now, I didn't get the first part correct necessarily early on because of the stuck slug. Went on, fiddled around with the IF transformers. Didn't make much difference there, but a little bit. And maybe that's kind of just knocked everything a little off. If I just kind of get it to where it's supposed to be, presto, should be blaring. Kind of doubt that. Okay, that's it for today though, because it's 11 o'clock now, and it's a beautiful, beautiful day outside. So that's where I'm heading now. See ya.